Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the As Seen on TV podcast for the originals, Season 3, Episode 5, The Axeman's Letter. I'm your host, Mike, and joining me is Omikins.
Hi.
Hey. So, an interesting episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too much to do with the Axeman, although he was mentioned by Vincent to Cammy.
The whole reason they're having a party.
Right. To anybody unfamiliar, the Axeman was a famous serial killer in New Orleans in 19-something, 1890-something.
1902?
Something around that area.
I want to say that earlier.
Plus or minus a couple years.
Yeah.
He was an axe murderer, like quite literally an axe murderer. And he wrote in a letter to a local newspaper at the time, kind of just being a flaunty serial killer, taunting jackass that he was, and said, I'm going to give the city a gift, and that is, if you play jazz music, I won't kill you. Basically, if the house was playing jazz music, he would skip it over that night. And that night, nobody died, because everybody played jazz music. So apparently there's some crazy party they have every year for this. And that's the party they were throwing.
Mm-hmm.
So Klaus gets a lovely letter from Aurora saying, what was it? Roses are red, lavender's blue. Come find me before I find you.
I was like, no, lavender's lavender.
Close enough.
No. Lavender's purple, not blue.
Well,
Or you're stupid.
Well, roses are red, violets are blue. Violets aren't fucking blue.
Oh, they're violet.
Exactly.
That's why I hate that fucking poem.
Me too. So, apparently in the past, because every episode here, for the most part, we get the flashback to previous years. Klaus and Aurora were lovers. In fact, she was Klaus's first lover.
No. Wait. Was she?
Klaus's first true love, supposedly.
True love. Because, there was a whole thing with Tatia. I don't know where that falls in the timeline, but... Oh, yeah, that was way after, because Finn and Cole weren't around, so... Okay.
Nah.
I don't know, actually. I kind of remember them being still at home and with, his father and his mother still looking over their shoulders, but...
Yeah, I think that was before they were vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when he just got turned.
Right.
So, I thought that was his first thing, but...
Well,
whatever.
someone done goofed. Anyway, Klaus spilled his biggest secret at the time, and that secret was that he's the one who killed his mother in a fit of rage and blamed it on his father.
I don't blame him.
I don't either. Knowing what we know now, I don't either.
She friggin' deserved it.
Yeah. But at the time, he lied to all of his siblings and told them that their father did it and that he's coming for them next.
Well, he really was coming for them.
Yeah, well, he really is coming for them. But not for that reason. So, yeah, lovers. And then comes the night when Finn was all pissed off. Apparently, word got around about them being there due to... Whose fault was it? Was it Cole's or Lucien?
It was Cole. And it was actually the whole lot of them, because once Lucien was turned, they kind of all their limitations and inhibitions just kind of went out the window.
Right, and Lucien wasn't exactly the master of self-control, it would seem.
No. Well, he seemed pretty obsessive-compulsive before he got turned, and we all know that once you get turned into a vampire, all your senses and your personality and your feelings, your emotions are heightened by tenfold, so...
Tendencies are heightened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Yeah, this was the bait Michael would need to find them, track them down, so they all flee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, word gets around, it's like, and Michael hears about it, he's going to be like, I wonder who that could be. Not like he knows that there can be more vampires in the world. Or they didn't even have a name. They weren't even called vampires. They didn't even have a name for it yet.
They're just monsters.
Mm-hmm. Klaus wants to leave with Aurora. It's like wondering, first true love, why aren't they still together? Because when he's like, come away, come run with us, we have to flee, she's like, no, I can never love you. I see you for the monster you truly are. Which is Klaus's biggest heartbreak, and pretty much made him set him down the road to the Klaus we know and love today.
Do we actually love him, though?
Yeah, true.
We just enjoy his shenanigans.
His antics.
Yes.
And then we find out later that the whole reason is because when Elijah was ready to flee, he was the one who found out, and he tells Aurora something about it. She has to be stupid and be all like, oh, he told me his biggest secret. Like, one that he wouldn't even tell you. And that put Elijah in a fit of rage, and he discovers compulsion by total accident.
It must have felt good, because he did it more than once.
Yeah, it must have felt great. She spills the secret, and Elijah apparently compelled Aurora to say all those things to Klaus, even though she did really love him.
That's what she says.
That's what she claims.
I don't trust her at all.
Me neither. Oh God, she's got the crazy eyes and the crazy voice down completely. Like when she speaks, she's like, you could see this pure batshit insanity going on behind those eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But we got confirmation that she was sired by Rebecca. Rebecca's the one who turned her.
I was super hoping for the whole Tristan sire thing, because it made sense of like how crazy obsessive she is over her brother, how she wants to be near him all the damn time.
Right. And a sire bond would have actually been pretty an interesting thing there.
Yep.
But no. They did mention Rebecca's sire line earlier, and apparently Aurora is part of hers. Which, if they're so, like, that kind of strikes me as odd. Like, if they're so attached to each other, they gotta know that their sire line winning the war would kill their sibling.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of find out that, possibly Lucien and Tristan are working together, so I think they have bigger plans in store, like taking the whole original status for themselves and offing Elijah, Rebecca, and Klaus, because there's only 3 of them left.
Right.
Cole, Finn, they're all gone. So, I mean, somehow magically, transfer the sire starty lie thing to them, not the originals.
I mean, that was a theory we had a couple episodes, that they may have found a way to break the whole kill the original, whole sire line goes with.
I don't know if they're going to go that far, because they still want to be in charge, because once they break the whole sire bond with every vampire, then who's to say that they're going to not do the whole True Blood thing and go off and make all of the vampires, Like,
yeah, I know.
So they have to keep it in control, so they have to pass the power down, so that one person's always in charge.
Yeah. But anyway, this was Elijah's biggest secret that he's held on to forever. For 1,000 years he's held on to the secret, and it comes out now.
Yeah.
And Elijah even said, that they're at the moment where they need to be closest, they can't have anything that's, driving them apart. And they get into it, Klaus and Elijah, and they're at each other's throats. Which, it's the same thing we've seen multiple times before. Klaus going at him like raw anger and brute strength, and Elijah staying calm and composed and actually gaining the upper hand because he's just a boss like that.
He did mention the whole, the kind of brainwashing that his mother did to him and how it brought out certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point, when Elijah's like, fine, you want to fight, let's fight. I don't think that would have happened if that didn't happen to him with the whole red door and all that stuff.
Yeah, you know what, I
think he would have been like, brother, Come on. Go ahead,
Like,
throw your
relax.
punches. Throw your punches, but I'm not fighting back. But now he's ready.
Get your anger out. We don't need this right now.
He's ready to fight.
And we find that Tristan, he escaped to a building that has old tunnels leading out, and the tunnels end at another building that just happens to be owned by Lucien's company.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts the whole, okay, they're working together this whole time? Is their whole, their whole idea was to get Elijah and Klaus at each other's throats?
Of course.
Yeah. You got a sire line. Well, for the moment, we assume they have a sire line war going on. Get the two, the sires of each line involved and pissed at each other.
I don't know.
I really don't get it.
I mean, they're not really revealing much to us.
Mm-hmm.
They're keeping us really in the dark. And it's starting to feel a lot like the Traveler season to me in the Vampire Diaries.
Where they kept you too much in the dark?
Yeah. And it's starting to lose steam for me really fast. I mean, I still enjoy the series, no doubt about that, but it's this particular plot line where they need to wrap it up really quick.
Well, hopefully some stuff they'll reveal some more details and get on with it. I mean, this whole sire line war is going to be the whole season, I believe.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think this is going to go to midwinter?
I think it's going to go to midwinter, and there's going to start... It's going to be more of a... Because we did see that Davina and Haley are getting closer, and I think it's going to have to do with a witch rebellion. And Haley's not under that curse anymore.
Very true.
So...
Well,
that might cause some problems with Klaus and Haley and Hope.
Right.
To be honest, I think they should be focused more on a storyline with Hope in it than this bullshit with family fighting.
Hope was such a big part of last season. Like, the focus of all of last season.
Well, she's a super juiced witch hybrid.
Right. So
she is the epitome of like the big evil, even though she's just a little infant.
Right, I know. And last season she was the whole, focus, Finn going after her.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly Dahlia coming back and going after her.
Yep.
Like, that was it. And now we get a couple of scenes with Hope, with Haley and Klaus with Hope, and that's it. She's like, oh yeah, it's like, and Hope is there.
We saw Hope do magic last season.
Yes.
We haven't seen an inkling of that this season, and she's getting older, she's getting stronger. We should be seeing more of it.
She's had a grand total of 2 minutes of screen time this whole season, so of course you're not going to see anything.
That's why I'm thinking there's going to be a whole witch thing in the second half after mid-season, and it's going to have to do with Hope, a lot of Hope, and I actually think we're going to have our time jump there.
Oh, you think they're going to bring a time jump into the originals as well?
Yes. They have to keep the seasons together, like the series. Like, they're on the same timeline. They may be a couple weeks off from each other, but they keep in line really well. And that's what I've enjoyed by watching both seasons, because they you can tell where each season is at, or each episode's at, because they're pretty close in time.
Yeah, and they do mention here and there, well, actually, Originals hasn't mentioned Mystic Falls or shit in a while, but occasionally, you'll hear Damon or someone drop it. Like, I remember there was a line last season, it's like, you know of a cure for a werewolf bite? He's like, yeah, it's in New Orleans.
Yeah. I mean, they try to stay connected, even in the slightest, so, I mean, if...
Yeah, but there's nothing saying they have to.
Well, I mean, not anymore, but I feel like they should.
Just to keep our minds sane.
Also, I mean, to jump forward like that would also, push Hope's storyline forward, because the older she gets, the more she's gonna...
Yeah.
She's gonna unlock.
She's like 1.5, 2.
No, she's under a year old. She's not even walking. Right. Or she just started walking, so she's maybe 10, 11 months.
Alright, so she just started walking, and a time jump would make her 4, if they keep the same, thing. But, I've been saying that how many episodes now? That Damon and Stefan are still alive 3 years in the future. That means either A, Klaus survives this whole thing, or they figure out a way to break the whole sire line magic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's
Like, we already know one of those two things is going to happen. That's
yeah.
how it happens. Either Klaus lives. I mean, they can't kill off Klaus. The originals, that'll be the end of the original series.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me. I don't know. You mentioned Davina and Haley getting closer.
Yeah.
There's, this whole Axeman thing. It falls on a special feast.
Witchy holiday.
Feast. The feast of, like, gift giving or something like that. And
some French name.
Yeah.
Connected to it.
And Davina's gotta, be at a party and, like, host a party because she's the regent. And after she was attacked at the last gathering, she figures, I'm going to take Haley and Jackson and they're going to be my bodyguards. Which, I mean, it's not like they said we can't exactly refuse because you just go in there and blow out your candle. And she's like, yeah, and if I die, the candle goes away with me. So there's some incentive for you. Mm-hmm. Way to motivate your troops right there.
Yeah. But I mean, now there's nothing to stop Haley from just fucking off because Davina undid the spell. But Davina actually went to the ancestors and was like, I need to give a gift to this girl. I need to do this. I need to undo this curse. And I think that made a huge difference in Haley's mind. Like, you could see the smile on her face. Right. Like, you did me good.
As she put it, I asked the ancestors for the magic to undo your curse, and being it's, whatever feast, blows out the candle. They gave it to me. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess they realized, that's your gift. You want to give someone something really nice? Here, you can do it. Go for it. We'll let you.
I mean, it didn't harm her in any way, so It was a great gift. Like, that just allowed Haley to see hope for sure, forever, until there's another curse put on her.
Right, which, of course, will probably happen. And while Davina, good thing Davina had the bodyguards because there were the son of that witch who attacked Davina that Haley tore to shreds. Mm-hmm. Was there making a voodoo doll.
He wasn't planning to kill her, though.
No.
He was planning to, like, maim her somehow.
Right.
So she couldn't be regent anymore, but he wasn't going to kill her.
Exactly. And Jackson stops that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And after a lovely little speech by Davina, the kid just decides, yeah, fuck that, I'm gone. And that's kind of gives you a little fuel for the whole witch rebellion, witch war.
That's what I think is going to be happening. I don't think they're going to keep this sire bullshit going on very much longer.
No, not with all this witchy stuff going on.
No.
And then, on top of all of this, Cammy and Vincent are tailing Lucien all day.
Yeah.
And, like, midway through their tailing, Cammy just vanishes from Vincent's sight. We all know what could have figured out what happened. Lucien grabbed her and took her to a back alley. Is like, hey, why are you following me? But when he leaves her there, he races off super fast, and you hear him do something, and then she rounds the corner and hears a fresh kill of the serial killer, which either he knew the body was there, or Lucien's the serial killer.
They're making it too obvious, if that's the point.
I know, that's exactly. It's way too obvious.
I think Lucien is involved, but he's not doing the killing.
Right. Could that mean Tristan is doing it?
I mean, we're kind of assuming that they're working together. Lucien might be trying to possibly cover it up in a way, but not completely.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very interesting. Mm-hmm. Is all I gotta say. But Cammy calls the cops because guy's bleeding out here. It's the only way she can think of helping him. And Detective, what's his fuckface, shows up. Kinney. Detective Kinney? Is that his name?
Kinney.
Yeah, Detective Kinney shows up. And he's like, I forgot exactly the words he used, but, how many bodies I always, how many crime scenes I always had to call you, and now you're at one.
You're part of one.
You're part of one.
Yeah.
So he arrested her. Oh, well, he didn't arrest her.
He didn't arrest her right there, but he decided to, like, seriously dig into her and tail her at that point. Get a warrant for her freaking little vault of magical doodads.
And overhears, Vincent say, Cammy, this half the stuff, most of the things in here could destroy the city how many times over. And Detective walks up like, is that so?
I was half expecting her to start singing, "Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?"
No.
Yeah, I was, seriously.
So then he arrests her. Which, like, yeah, okay, I guess she is, to someone who doesn't know about all this supernatural bullshit, she does seem kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
Mysterious and suspicious.
Well, I mean, he knows that her family has history.
Her brother was a mass murderer.
Not on his, not by his will, and his, her uncle is same thing.
But to a person who's not familiar with the supernatural, her brother and her uncle were mass murderers.
I think he thinks that it runs in the family.
Yep.
And that is the worst thing to frickin' say to a person.
Yep.
You do not do that.
Nope.
No, you don't. I mean, your great-grandfather could have been an alcoholic, but, by, happen chance, so is your grandfather and then your father. But that doesn't mean you're going to be one.
Very true. And, before we move on to the next episode stuff, one of my favorite lines was Aurora just looks Klaus dead in the eyes, goes, "Where the hell is Rebecca?"
He knows exactly where Rebecca is.
Oh,
in
yes.
two places. He knows where she's at for reals, and, well, she's in both places for reals, but, like, living for reals and in the coffin.
He knows where her body is, and he knows where her I guess, consciousness is.
Unless Aurora does something completely asinine, crazy balls, just out of this world, Rebecca is going to be safe. Klaus is going to keep her so safe.
Right.
He's going to keep her safe over himself.
Now, moving right along to the next episode synopsis, because it involves exactly what you just said. Next episode's called Beautiful Mistake. When Elijah and Freya realize that Rebecca may be the target of the Strix's latest plan... Now, here's the thing. Tristan runs the Strix. If their target is Rebecca, then Tristan is just outright saying, "Sorry, sis, you're gonna die."
Maybe he's sick of her shit.
Maybe. But Miss Crazy Eyes there, I mean, she's a new character that actually kind of scares me. Like, if she was in the same room with me, I would want to leave immediately. And not because she's a vampire, but just because of the look on her face when she talks to you. Anyway. Strix's latest plan, they do whatever it takes to protect her. This is Elijah and Freya. Elsewhere, Klaus spends time with Aurora to figure out where her loyalties lie, while a dangerous run-in with a member of the Strix leads Haley and Marcel to make an unsettling discovery. Ooh. Finally, an elaborate scheme created by Lucien leaves Cammy faced with a difficult decision to make, and Detective Kinney fighting for his life.
Okay.
So, this whole serial killer... Maybe Lucien is the serial killer, and this is all part of some crazy, elaborate, stupid plan to turn Cammy against Klaus.
Maybe it is Cammy. Maybe it is Cammy, and it's the same thing that happened to her uncle and her brother. She's under a freaking spell.
Oh, I would say under a spell, but hasn't Cammy been, like, downing the vervain ever since she realized that's a thing?
Not compelled. A spell.
I know you said a spell, but I was thinking compulsion. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, she can get a hex put on her, and she would do the same thing.
We say a spell, and all of a sudden there's dog barking.
But yeah, I mean, that'd be a plot device that I wouldn't mind them reusing.
Nope, me neither. Because it was kind of interesting watching Father Kieran.
It was Kieran, yeah.
Yeah, Father Kieran slowly descend into madness. But is there anything else you got?
No, not really. I mean, as much as I'm complaining about this plot, this very focused, which I actually enjoy because it's easier to follow.
I like it too. I like focused. I don't like, multiple threads running in every different direction. And I feel like I'm saying that for every show that I do a podcast on this year.
Oh
Everything,
my gosh.
it's like this is the year of focused plot. Like, all the screenwriters got together at a screenwriters convention. It's like, hey, why don't we stop with all of these, 8 different things going on at once in an episode? Like the whole Game of Thrones syndrome here.
I can completely disagree with that because almost every show I'm on has multiple timelines that you have to try and keep up with.
I discount Once Upon a Time because those writers are fucking nuts.
I'm not even talking about Once Upon a Time.
I know. I watched this week's episode and I'm like, so wait, this is the far past. This is 3 weeks ago, and this is now.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're kind of getting a little bit of that in the Vampire Diaries too. So I mean, there's a lot of shows doing
but the Vampire
different...
Diaries. The way they're doing it is, it's like, okay, you get a 42-minute episode. That's what they are minus commercials. You got 40 minutes of current timeline and 2 minutes of the future, every episode so far.
It's still jumping all over the place. It still leaves you with a lot of questions unanswered.
Yeah, and I like the way they're doing it. They're teasing you,
It's allowing for good discussion and speculation. So.
Very true. So, Miss Omikins, I have one question for you.
What's that?
Where the hell can they find you?
Oh, they can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
Very good. You can find me on Twitter at Philidrin, right there. You can also find us all on Facebook, Gmail, Google+, MySpace, Twitter, and YouTube at ASOTV Podcast. You can follow us there for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you soon. You like my new hat?
I like that new hat. It's pink.
It's a pink, pretty hat.